It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Hey, very good morning to you out there. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather that we're having here in South Florida. It is the Fish Florida Show. Thank you so very much for joining in. It is always an honor and a privilege to be with you. This morning, I have with me the one and only Miss Pam Worth, and she's over on the West Coast, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on over there. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I love having you on because you bring such a unique perspective. It's a little different fishing out of a kayak than it is out of a boat. So tell me what it's like. What's the weather like over there this morning?
You know, it's beautiful. I have to be honest with you. I had a 50-50. Do I call in or do I just hit the water this morning? We've had 2 days, Friday and Saturday. Saturday in the part of the day wasn't so bad, but wind and rain and dreary. It's Florida winter, but today it's slightly overcast, very still. It's a perfect fishing day for artificials.
Wow. And so I know that you like to use artificials, generally speaking, over live bait or dead bait. So this morning, if you decide to go, because we talked a little bit before the year, you said, maybe get up there and do some fishing. And you mentioned grouper, right? Is that what you think you're going to go after?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that first thing this morning and calling you from a pier over at the Skyway. There's some, not everybody, a lot of people are pulling in nice-sized grouper from the Skyway Bridge. What they're doing is the beaking or jigging for pinfish and then floating, free-lining pinfish over the rock piles and getting nice-sized groupers. One of my buddies, Dylan, from Slot Society has been pulling at least two a night off the bridge. So he's very successful at doing that. And they're all slot sizes, a few little ones. But, yeah, nice job. And grouper season ends the end of the month, so if you're going to go
got a bit
grouper
get with
fishing,
it.
get out there.
Not much time left. So my curiosity is, since you're a lure, so what would be the right word? Somebody who prefers lures, would you use? There you go. Would you be using that? I mean, it's a silly question, maybe, but would you be using that for the grouper?
You can. There's a couple different colors. Pink is a great color for grouper. And basically take a lure that has a big lip in it, but will go with the current, and you just let it float out for a while until it gets past the rock pile, and then you just rip it back in as quick as you can. They've been very successful. It's kind of almost like trolling for grouper, and that's been a successful mode to turn around and get the grouper to eat. You might have to do it 2 or 3 or 4 times because sometimes the grouper will just attack something out of aggravation, kind of like a bass. But it's been very effective.
You know, you say the aggravation, it brings back memories when I've shared with you several times when I was younger. My dad would take us fishing. One of the places he would take me is Naples, and we'd go out on the pier. Beautiful. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been there in years, but at the time it was a beautiful pier out there in Naples. At the very end of the pier, men would show up with what appeared to be a bamboo pole, but it wasn't a bamboo pole it wasn't a pole made out of bamboo. It was a pole made out of aluminum. It had a very short line, maybe 24, 36 inches, and it had a silver kind of a lure on the end of it. And these men would go out to the end of the fishing pier, and they would run this lure in a figure 8 pattern in the water over and over. I mean, sometimes for 15 or 20 minutes straight, just back and forth, back and forth. And I learned something I never knew before. You can really make a fish mad. The snook would come out from under the shadows for no other reason than just ticked off. I'm tired of this thing, whatever this is, and come out and nail this lure. That I'd never seen anything like that, and that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. Where a fish, the only reason he's coming out is he's upset. Clear, because you can see them. You can see them in the shadows. You can see their shadow, I guess you could call it. And they're just sitting there waiting for fish to come by. You can see them hit a couple of pinfish when they come by. And this thing is still going in the water, and it's making this, the swishing sound back and forth, back and forth. And eventually one of them gets upset and comes out and bites it. So you just reminded me of that. So I guess you can do the same thing with other species, like you mentioned with the grouper.
Yep, you sure can. That's one way to catch them.
Just make them mad. Make them come out of their hole, come out of their hole, and nab whatever it is that is there.
That's right. And especially sometimes on the lures do work better because they tend to be a little higher up, and it pulls the grouper up into the water column a little bit more, which gives you time to set and work that fish so he doesn't take you straight back down into the rocks and cut your line.
Yeah, that's been my problem. Years ago when we were do grouper trolling, if you will, we called it down rigging. I don't know if they call it that now, but we had a special kind of rod, and like an outrigger, but it would have a heck of a lot of weight on it, and it would go down, and then we control how far down it went, 15, 20, depending upon the depth of water that we were in. And that's what we would use. We would be trolling for a grouper that way. That would be my most successful way, because once they hit it, they didn't have the opportunity to swim down. The boat was slowly moving forward. So once it hit, it tightened the line and began to pull them up. When we were jigging for grouper, there were times we went out on the reefs down off of Isla Morada, and we were jigging for grouper. I was lucky if I got 1 out of 5. I was lucky. I could never get the timing right to when they hit it, to pull on it just right, to get their head up so they wouldn't go back down into their hole, and inevitably to go back down in the hole and not come up with nothing.
Yep. A reel, a nice rod, but more important almost is the reel that has great drag on it to help lock it down and to help pull those grouper right back up. You don't want to give that. You don't want to have them have any give at all.
Yeah.
You want to keep that line tight and get them up. But if they do get back in their hole, trying to pull them out is pretty much useless because they'll flare their gills out and just wedge themselves in there. You almost have to turn around and open the bail or release your drag on your line and just let it sit there for 5 minutes or so. And sometimes you'll see your line move. And when you do that, slowly, slightly tighten it up, lock back down that drag, and heave ho, and you have a chance to get in. They swim back out of the hole thinking they're safe.
I watched my friend do that one time, and I was laughing at him, and he just looked at me, just take it easy. We're not done yet. And I kept fishing. I'm just kind of minding my own business. Probably 10 or 15 minutes went by, and son of a gun, I turned around, and he's got the poles bent over, and he's pulling back up. I was really, really surprised that, I guess part of it is patience. That's one of the things that you learn when you go fishing is patience. If you don't have any patience, you're surely not going to enjoy what's going on.
You're right. One of the guys at work has little patience, and he was out with one of the reps, pen rep, as a matter of fact. And they were trolling, and it seemed like every 2 minutes he was changing lures because nothing was hitting. Well, unfortunately, every time he changed his lure, it settled the groupers back down again because all of a sudden now they're seeing something different up there, something slightly different color, whatever. And he never got them to the point of aggravation where they'd come up and hit that lure.
Wow, that's a very good point. And something I never even considered.
Yep.
My goodness.
It just depends on the situation and what you use.
Uh-huh. Wow. Well, one of my regulars is Robert Warner. I so much enjoy having Robert on. He is with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. He always has something new to share with us. And fortunately this morning I have him on the line with us. Good morning, Mr. Robert.
Well, good morning, folks. How are you?
Go ahead, Pam.
Excellent. You have a great radio voice. I've told you that before, but you have a great radio voice.
I see.
We'll have to get him.
I actually did radio calls when I was in college in Pasadena for
Really?
KCBC Radio. Yep.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
My friend and I used to make up the strangest radio calls we could find. We would record them in laundromats with all the washers and dryers open, in public restrooms with all the toilets flushing.
Oh, God,
my
college
gosh.
days.
I could think of some things to say about that. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on that one.
Yeah, you might want to save those for later. So.
Well, Robert, I took a look at the radar this morning before we went on the air, and it looks pretty clear all over our side of the state.
It is absolutely beautiful where I am. So.
Yeah. Got up early this morning and had a little bit of smog. Listen to me. Good gravy. Had a little bit of fog out there. Did you see anything like that? I think you're closer to the water than I am.
I am closer. I'm pretty close to the water, but no fog, but just an absolutely beautiful morning. It's nice and cool out. There's no wind. It is really, really beautiful right now. If you are headed out on the water, this should be a beautiful day out there. So
They're saying the
I
wind.
agree.
Go ahead, Pam.
I was going to say, I agree. I was telling Rascal that I had a 50-50 choice of calling in today or going back out and fishing and saying, oh, gee, I forgot. I wouldn't do that to you.
can't call from the kayak.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the area I was going to fish probably won't have very good radio or phone reception, so I chose a place where I know I could call in. So have you been fishing, Robert?
I have not. I've been working on the magazine, and that's what I'll be doing for the next, to the end of next week. So
we just finished the
but,
deadline.
I thank Pam sent in some stuff, and I appreciate
Yay!
that. And we've got an interesting article or an interesting issue this month. It'll be on ice fishing and kayak fishing. And we've got some great people from up north in Canada and Minnesota that are helping us out with the ice fishing. And I've met some great people in doing so. And we've got lots of nice people like Pam helping us out with the kayak stuff.
Great.
We've got Pam and Sky Burkhart and Bree Andressi. And that's it's just great. All these people help out.
Wow. You know, I had Jeff Goldberg, and I'm trying to think of his company, 309, Fish 309 or something like that. He's up north. He's up there in New York, I believe. And he was telling us, sharing with us, that's a couple of weeks ago, about how ice fishing had just started. And they go out there and they auger. I call it drill.
Yeah.
They auger a hole in the ice, and sometimes it's an 8-inch hole or a 10-inch hole. And they can pull some pretty neat fish through that. I was pretty surprised some of the stuff he shared with us.
Some amazing stuff. Somebody sent me a video, and as a matter of fact, it was on the Facebook page, I think yesterday or the day before, of what has to be I don't know how big muskies get, but this is a big one coming up through the ice. These guys are all inside the tent looking at this thing through the ice because they can see it screaming because they can't figure out how to get this thing through this little hole. And they're trying to figure out how to enlarge the hole and drag it up through there. And it's pretty interesting stuff that you can run into out there. I had no idea. I have never ice fished in my life.
Neither have I.
I hope I get to do that at some point, but I have now met some people that will certainly show me how to do this if I get so inclined. But it's really great stuff. I had Marie Veronu from Canada sent me a chart on how thick the ice has to be to hold a human, how thick it has to be to hold a small ATV, how thick it has to be to hold a car, how big it has to be to hold your truck.
But how do you know how thick it is?
I guess they measure.
Huh.
You drill and you measure.
So just out of curiosity, before I ask you this, I want to ask Pam. Pam, have you ever been ice fishing?
No.
I can see you out there on your kayak on the ice.
I want to tell you, if it gets under 50 degrees, you almost have to, wedge me out on the water. I'm a wimp when it comes to the cold.
Wow. So I wanted to ask Robert, okay, so now you have this information. Just out of curiosity, how thick does the ice have to be to hold an average human?
4 inches.
4 inches. Wow. And something bigger like a small ATV or something like that?
I don't remember the exact, but I remember that it has to be 20 inches thick to hold a car. So,
great googly mooey. 20. You have to drill. You have to auger through. I keep calling it drilling. Auger through 20 inches of snow. My gosh.
Yeah, I saw something like that on Instagram. They had a picture with the thick of the ice. It was like a
yeah, that was
diagram.
her. She sent it to me. That's Marie. That's who posted that with the pictures.
Yeah, with the little drawings of the different things. Yeah, I glanced at it. I glanced at it quickly and went, "Yeah, I'm not ice fishing."
Yeah, I won't be doing that. Yeah, but I'd really like to try that.
Although the idea of a tent with heaters in it and maybe some spirits, now that you could probably twist my arm.
Well, yeah, and that's what it looks like they do out there. It looks like ice fishing is part fishing, part party.
Oh.
Which is not a bad idea.
I mean, you need to have something in there to keep you warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
they
if
do. They build little fires up off the ice, and and they drank.
My goodness. Well, I don't know if they're still doing it down there in Miami. The years ago when I had my boat, there's trying to think of the name of there's a small island. They call it something Key. I can't. Soldier's Key maybe is what it's called. Anyway, if you show up on the right day at the right time, boats just tie up next to each other in shallow water, so 10, 15, maybe 15 at the most feet deep, and it's just a massive party. It turns out to be one big, massive boats all tied together and party.
The big sandbar in Key Largo is full every weekend. So
wow.
Yeah. I think every area has one. I know Zella has one near Bird Key, and I know Tampa Bay has one. I think it's called Beer Can Island, appropriately.
Yeah, we have one here in Stewart too, right inside the inlet. If you're coming in the inlet, just to the right, you'll find everybody there on the weekend. So
wow. So what do we got to look forward to here in the latest edition of the Florida Fisherman Magazine?
Well, like I said, we've got Pam Worth.
Yay!
Yep, and we got kayak fishing, we've got ice fishing, and the normal fishing reports. We did add a new report from Cedar Key, which will be coming in, and so now we've got reports from the Keys here in Stewart. Still haven't gotten anybody from Dade or Broward County for some reason. I don't know why, and we've also got some coming in from the northern part of the state now, thanks to Laura Thompson, who helped me find someone in Jacksonville. So
if you guys that are out there listening, if you are up in, generally anywhere, but preferably somewhere in South Florida, Dade County or Broward County, or up north near Jacksonville, whatever area that is up there, you have an opportunity to share with Robert fishing experience. You can submit it to Robert. Robert, if they want to submit something to you, how do they do that?
They just send it to pages@flfishmag.com.
And they can find the actual magazine at flmag.fl.
Fishmag. Yep, flfishmag.com. That's where we are.
Yeah. So, and I was going to ask you something.
Now, I will tell you this before I got to go real quick. The sailfish are definitely back. Anybody that's fishing from here south, you've got sailfish. And guy out of Jupiter the other day sent me a picture, just a boatload of dolphin.
Wow.
A boatload of mahi. So he had 6 guys with him, and they probably had 15 mahi on the boat.
Wow.
So,
any idea how far off they were?
No, but I'm guessing that this time of year they're probably 160 to 200 feet of water. So they'll be coming in a little closer.
Yeah.
Just because they're looking for the warmer water, so they won't be out real far like they are in the summer. They'll be in closer, and just look for anything floating: a piece of debris, a weed line, a piece of plywood, a barrel. You'll find them.
That's one of the things. Yeah, one of the things we used to look for was the birds as well. Looking for birds coming in and out of the water. That would indicate something's going on out there.
Yep. I'm going to be down in Pompano the 13th of January because Joe Hector and Maria Hector have the Extreme Sailfish Tournament. So you're going to see all the Tupperware flotation down there for the Extreme Kayak Sailfish Tournament.
That's going to be neat. Make sure that you have a camera with you.
I will. I got my phone with me no matter where I go.
There you go.
Tupperware flotation?
That's what the boaters call us. Yes, that's what especially the Wahoo captains that are just zipping by at 350 knots. You hear them on the radio go, "Hey guys, I don't know if you know it, but it's a Tupperware flotations out here in a tournament, so watch where you're driving."
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So that's what they call the kayaks, huh?
Well, that's what the
Tupperware
boaters.
Flotation.
That's what the boaters call us.
This is what I love about doing this show. I'm always learning something new.
I did too. I learned something new this morning. I will be sure to use that in the magazine, Pam.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we also have some choice words for the captains that go zipping by us at 300 knots.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you can email me those, okay?
Oh my. Robert, always a pleasure having you on. Thank you so very much. Any parting words before we get on to the break?
No, other than the holiday issue is going to be a good one, so make sure you keep on the lookout for it. It's got our editor on the cover. Her name is Lindsay Savelli. She goes by Lou. She is on the cover. She is our writer. She is my lifesaver, and she is a wonderful human being. And she is on our cover, and it's going to be a great issue. So hopefully you guys will find it. So.
Yep. I owe you photos. I'll get those to you as soon as we get off the air.
Yeah, you said when you got out of the boat, I figured you were still in the boat. So.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, thank you so very much for taking time to call in. Always a pleasure to have you on. Robert Warner with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. And it is that time, my friends. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
What happened to the good old days when people were loyal and we all had fun without drama? Where every Saturday morning at 4 a.m. Eastern, we invite you to join Encounters with the Neelys and discuss endless topics and throwbacks of the yesteryears. Bringing back to you retro interactive radio to the fullest. And yes, you got it. It's Throwback Saturdays with your hosts, Dr. Darrell and Dr. Katie Neely, turning back the hands of the father time and bringing people back to a place of peace. So get down, get sassy, and get jiggy with us. Oh, just don't drink while you're listening, because we are not responsible for the damage that comes from spitting it out while you laugh. So join us on Encounters with the Neelys, exclusively on the LNM Radio Network.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good, but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Brittany's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny. Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate.
Will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day, people make me feel small.
Every day, I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day, people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
If we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do. We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
We will let the world know that we're going to take action with the eye.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you. If you're just joining, you missed out a little bit of fun this morning when we were talking with Robert, and a really good time there. I always appreciate Robert when he calls in. He's always got something new to share with me, and he's kind of like somebody that's in the middle of the action, if you will, because of the industry that he's in. And as always, well, not always as always, but as usual, I have Pam Worth with me. Pam, those of you who may not be aware, Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. And the reason I enjoy having Pam on is she brings a very unique perspective because she's literally at the water level fishing away. And when I think about Pam, and she's not here in the studio with me, and I close my eyes and I see Pam. I see this picture of Pam with this huge fish that she's caught, a sailfish. It's almost the size of the boat that she's in. That's the kind of person that she is. She's not afraid to get her, literally grab them and pull them up and have a picture taken. So good morning, Pam, and as always, thank you for joining. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're so kind. I appreciate the kind words, and good morning to you, sir.
And our next guest. Let's see. Our next guest is going to be Captain James. Captain James, I think, is out of your area, right?
Yeah, he's out of Tampa Bay, Captain James Spears. He's got 20 years of local knowledge of the Tampa Bay area, so one of the top captains here in the Bay.
Wow,
So
all right.
Thank you for having him on. He's a wealth of information.
I enjoy having him because he shares knowledge, and that's one of the things I so much enjoy. Captain James, I'm going to bring you on in just a moment, but I heard some noise going on in the background, so if you can kind of be mindful of the noise in the background. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's we had no problem hearing him. He is nice and loud. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing well. And I take it you're out on the West Coast this morning?
Nope, we are. So we just dropped our dog off at the groomer, and then James and I are on our way. We may go get the boat and do some fishing. James Jr.
All right. Well, Pam was talking about possibly doing some fishing this morning as well.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna try to hit maybe cockroach later today. See, that's the other cool thing about James. If you have a family where you're taking kids out fishing, and I think that's one of the hardest things to find a captain that really can cater and deal with kids. I've seen great pictures of James and his son where they've caught monster fish, and he's one of the few captains who can relate to children, as you know, obviously as well as adults, and get those kids on fish and let them have a great time. Were you out yesterday? Did you have a charter yesterday, James?
Nope. Unfortunately, we've been landlocked for 2 days. Both trips, Friday and Saturday, had to be postponed due to weather.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Yeah.
But today looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it does.
So where are you planning on going?
For me this afternoon, we'll probably fish in the Upper Bay, just based on the patterns I've been seeing throughout the week. I think we're going to maybe hit some docks or some backwater canals with some nice warm mud. Hopefully we'll see some sunning fish.
Great. Are you going to stop and try to get some bait?
Probably not today. I think I'm going to let James maybe use some shrimp, and I'll probably whip the paddle tail around.
Okay. How's bait been looking on the flats lately?
Well, it's hit or miss. We've been experiencing a lot of these fronts blowing through for the first couple of weeks of December, and the water temperature has just been jumping up and down just in the last week. I've seen it go down to 56 and all the way up to 64.
Wow.
So it's been there on the warmer mornings, but I'll tell you, if it's not on the flats, I've just been checking markers or piers or any structure that's located near the flats we've been getting bait. and it seems like it's migrating over there and just trying to hug up to that structure for a little bit of extra warmth.
Okay. And you said you're going north into backcountry. Have you seen the pattern of the fish? You mentioned the pattern of the fish starting to do that?
Yeah, absolutely, especially our snook. It seems like they've gotten the memo that winter's coming. And I've seen fewer fish out in the open water. And when I do, they're up pretty shallow, up on white sand, really trying to sunbathe and kind of bring that temperature up. So, snook fishing right now tends to be better right in the middle of the day when that sun's real high. They get active. But I think for the most part, they're trying to, they're trying to hunker down for winter. So they're getting in the residential canals, up in some of the backwater creeks. So I've definitely seen that transition with the snook. Redfish and trout, not so much yet. The trout are definitely liking the cool water. It's cleared up significantly. So we're still targeting trout on flats. And redfish have just been kind of come and go. I'm still, if that's what somebody wants to do, then we're still marching up and down the flats looking for them.
Okay. When you're back up in the canals with the snook, what are some of your favorite baits? I mean, are you using old school popping cork or shrimp under a cork? Well, what are you doing?
You can. So I've been using that. I've had clients this week really do a mix. I've had somebody fish with a split shot and a shrimp on the bottom. And then if I see somebody's got some good casting abilities, I'll definitely want them to put a cork on and try to skip it up under a dock or get right behind that tide flow of a dock. So we've been doing both and catching fish on both, to be honest with you. And a few days that we do bring greenbacks or pilchards in there, they're eating those as well.
Good. Oh, well, at least they still have their appetite. That's good to know.
The amateur wants to ask, what is a cork?
So a cork, in other words, if you're not from Florida, it's probably called a bobber. It's just a device that's going to float your bait, and you can kind of set the amount of leader or the length of line you want that shrimp or that bait to be down in the water column. But it's just going to keep the cork's going to float on top. The bait's going to sink below that, and it gives you a couple advantages. It tells you very closely where that bait is at any given moment. If you skip a pilchard under a dock, that line without a cork, that line goes down, and you kind of lose sight of where that bait's going, and before you know it,
he's wrapped
you around a filing. Exactly. So it's a nice bonus to have a cork on there and let you know exactly where that bait is, and if you need to pull them out or straighten them out, you certainly can.
So the most common bobbers that I have seen are typically red and white or orange and white. Do you use something like that, or do you actually, because I've seen cork as well, actual cork.
Yeah, so there are the cork ones, there are the plastic ones. We tend to use the styrofoam type in where we're at.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Whether it's a popping cork or just like a highlighted yellow or pink, something easy to see.
I have a tip for fishing with kids. Pick out a different colored cork per child.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think...
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. I was going to ask if he thought that the color of the cork would have anything to do with the fish hitting or not. Would it affect them in one way or another?
I don't believe that it does, but I do know that the neon yellows and neon greens tend to be a lot easier to see. When those pink ones or those orange ones get off in the distance, especially in low light, you can lose track of them pretty quick. So that tends to be the color you'll see me fishing with the most.
Pam, I take it you do this as well, right?
I got a lesson on the proper method of popping cork when I was in Louisiana in October, and they use a popping cork not as like a bobber or a float. They use it to actually call the fish, and they have a couple popping corks that they use just that have a pitch or the sound that a redfish makes when it slurps, and then they have a different cork that they use when they're looking for trout. That has the sound, it makes kind of the sound of a trout hitting the water, hitting bait.
So when you're using these things, you're dragging them through the water? Is that what's happening? You're not. When I hear somebody say cork, I'm thinking you throw it out there and you let it sit. They're not doing that?
Yeah, I would call that like a float. You put it out there and you let it sit the way Captain James had said.
Uh-huh.
But when they say popping cork, it's kind of like a concave bait, lure that you're using, that when you bring it along the top of the water, it makes a popping sound, or it creates
So it's specially designed.
Splash or wave.
It's specially designed for that.
Yeah, it has a concave face to it. So you bring the line tight, you keep your pole upright, and you give it a pull, and it makes like a type sound.
Oh, see, I love doing this show. Always learning something. Always learning. I didn't know that there was actually I'd heard the term, but I didn't know it was actually a bobber or whatever you want to call it that was made specifically for doing that. I thought, in my ignorance, I thought you just throw it out there and bob it up and down. Oh, like I said, always learning. Captain James, let's see, you're going to be going out this morning, right?
Yeah, we're thinking about it. Yep.
And I don't know if you mentioned it or not. Did you say what you're going to be targeting?
We'll probably do some snook fishing. I've got some trips coming up this week where some folks want to target some of the bigger snook this time of year. So I'm just going to go kind of looking around, probably let James get up front and fish, and I'll stick to the trolling motor and just kind of use my eyes to figure things out today.
And the quality of the water, you mentioned very briefly a few minutes ago, and I know that we've had issues with the quality of the water on both sides of the state. Briefly, how is the quality of the water where you are?
It's fantastic right now. I generally fish inside Tampa Bay, so from the Skyway Bridge up into the bay. Everywhere I've been in the last 2 weeks, the water's very clear, almost gin clear in areas.
Wow.
And that comes with this cool weather and the higher levels of oxygen. But today, so one of the things we like to do this time of year is get in those creeks. Now, the water is still very clean, but when you get in these canals, these residential canals and these creeks, you're generally going to find a muddier bottom. And that's what we're looking for, because it's going to hold warmth and attract these fish there for the winter. So the water, while it might not be as clear, it's going to be tannic. It is still very clean, and the fish are very, very at home and comfortable in that water.
So you brought up an interesting point that, again, it's a learning process for me. You're in these creeks because you feel that the mud is retaining the heat, so it's slightly warmer in those areas than it would be. I would think it would be warmer in the deeper water where it's harder to cool the water down.
Those creeks and those canals are generally going to be slightly deeper than the canals that these fish generally call home.
Mm-hmm.
But there's creeks also. So the mud is going to soak up, absorb that heat, and kind of retain it, especially through the evening time when the sun goes down. So you'll find these docks, the pilings of the docks will retain the heat.
Oh, good point. I didn't think about that.
In canals, there's going to be oyster beds and banks with oysters on them. Those too will retain heat. So it's kind of a mix of these features that we look for this time of year.
And your seawalls.
And seawalls, of course.
Yeah. I didn't consider that. That's a very good point. So before we go here, we're getting ready to shortly go on a break. If somebody wants to utilize your services, Captain James, how do they do that?
Well, they can call me. My phone number is 813-625-2067. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, but generally, people go to the website, check out the rates, check out what we've been doing lately, and that's localknowledgefishing.com.
It's localknowledgefishingaltogether.com.
Yep.
And,
and James,
go ahead,
James,
Pam.
how do you spell your last name?
It's Beers, just like a round of beers, so it's Beers, Captain James Beers.
She did that on purpose. All right, James, thank you so very much. It is always an honor and a privilege to have you on with us. It really means a lot to me when people will call in and share knowledge with other people, what they're doing, how they're catching fish, because there's a lot of them out there that's kind of like me. I fish, yes, I do, and I love fishing, yes, I do, but there are many, many, many tricks that I don't know anything about, and I'm constantly learning, and it's with people like you that come on, and Pam, and I learn, and I'm sure that if I'm learning something, there's somebody out there who is learning something as well. So thank you for sharing the knowledge. I wish you a wonderful day. Tight lines when you go fishing today. And
all right, my pleasure.
We'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
Listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. right back.
What's up, Ricky Dillon here at the largest social media gathering in the world. So the internet is an amazing place, but sometimes it can be a not so great place with online bullying and trolling and stuff. Have you ever seen online bullying before?
Unfortunately, it's kind of common. Online, people can hide behind the internet. Those comment sections can be a little
harsh.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good word for it.
I've been called many homophobic names. I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated. It made me stop liking myself.
What if I told you there is something that you can use anytime that you see bullying online that calls attention to it in a nice way? Like, hey, that's not nice.
I wish that was the thing.
It's this! So anytime that you see any kind of hate online, go into your phone, go into the symbol section, post this I, and it says that that's bullying, that's not nice. So would you post this if you saw someone bullying someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a lot more mature way to handle the situation.
Find the emoji in your phone, send it to 5 of your friends, and let them know what it means to be a witness.
Go to eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more about the emoji.
The L&M Radio Network has a subscriber chat room for you, the listener. Come interact with your fellow listeners and like-minded people and talk about the shows in a safe environment, from the paranormal to conspiracies and anything else L&M related. All you have to do is go to the lnmradionetwork.com website and click the official chat page button at the top of the homepage. From there, you can sign up for the cost of a cup of coffee. If you're a late-nighter subscriber, the chat room is absolutely free with your subscription. Terms and conditions apply. Then click connect and you'll be able to log into the chat room. We're here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the chat room is both for Studio A and Studio B. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behaviour through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food. Cha-ching. And $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted. Which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behaviour. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration.
An innovator.
To be a teacher. Be my teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I'm waiting.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework.
He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
L&M Radio Network, shining the light of truth, 24 hours a day.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah, fishing and
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you if you're just joining. Thank you so much for taking the time. We've had a lot of laughs this morning. I apologize. If you've missed out, you can always hear the show again. We do archive the show. It's available on YouTube as well as our website, thefishfloridashow.com. And on YouTube, it's The Fish Florida Show. You can find us there. All the archives are there. This morning I have Pam Worth with me, as many times I have mentioned. Always enjoy having Pam on. She brings a unique perspective because she is one of those who's not afraid to get out there and get her fingers all smelly. But more than that, she's right there literally at the water's level with the fish. So good morning, Pam, and thank you for joining in. Always appreciate having you on.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for the invitation.
You know, and so I had asked another individual to come on because we have talked about the places that women have in this industry. It seems to be a male-dominated sport, if you want to call it that, or an industry, however you want to refer to it. And we have women who love to do this. And one of the people that I enjoy bringing on is Betty Bowman. And why do I enjoy bringing her on? Because she likes to teach women how to fish. My mom loved to fish. It was a great experience for us as a family to go fishing. And I believe, in my experience, it was a way for us to really build the bonds of the family. The family is under attack, has been under attack for quite some time. When we can get out there and enjoy it all as a group, the same thing, enjoying the same experience at one time, I can't help but believe it helps to encourage the relationships and to build the relationships. So with that, let me welcome, good morning, Miss Betty Bowman, and she is with Ladies Let's Go Fishing. Good morning, Betty.
Good morning, and hello to Pam, too. I'm hoping to see you in Tampa next year.
I look forward to it, Betty. You put on, and I'll jump ahead because I know he's going to ask you what you do, but I'm just going to jump ahead and say you put on one of the best clinics I've ever seen for teaching ladies how to fish, and I thank you for it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. We work hard to focus on the elements that women need because first they need to learn the terminology. You know, what is everybody talking about? Fishing has simple terms, but you need to learn what they are. Then we try to do skills. We do skills hands-on because there's nothing like doing it face-to-face. You can learn things online, but really to retain things and to make an impression, it's really face-to-face that makes this all possible. And then, the social elements we add so the ladies meet the other ladies, and then a chance to go fishing on the water. So there's nothing better than just learning and then having the chance to go fishing. So next year in Tampa, we're going to do it on a Saturday so that I can do the fishing on the Sunday. We'll have some more ladies that'll probably participate in that part of it.
Wow.
That'll be fun.
Well, I want to confirm what you said about doing it face-to-face. Many years ago, a little over 20 years ago, now my age is going to show, I decided to get into the laser printer industry, and back then there wasn't a whole lot of knowledge about the laser printer industry. And I read and I did and I researched and I did all this stuff. But I got to tell you, when I went to one of the Hewlett-Packard I can't think of the word that they use, a conference, but it was another thing. Anyway, it was a hands-on kind of thing. I learned more in that one conference, that one-hour class that I took. I learned more during that brief period than I did all that reading because I got my hands on what was going on. I had questions that could be answered right then, where if I'm reading about something and I have a question, a lot of times the question I have is not answered by what I'm reading. But if I have somebody there who's experienced and has done it and knows what we're talking about inside and out, well, what about this or what about that? And then give me an answer right away. It is so much easier to learn, for me, and I'm sure there's other people who feel the same way. It is so much easier to learn when somebody, not literally, but takes you by the hand and walks you through this, whatever it is that you're doing. For me, in my experience, that's the fastest way and the most permanent way to learn something.
Well, yeah, it's the face-to-face interaction. I don't think that, the industry is just trying to, find ways to get people into fishing and teach them online. Online is okay, but it's one way. There's no way to just interact and ask the questions And like at Ladies Let's Go Fishing, it's the no yelling school of fishing. There are no stupid questions. These ladies probably ask questions of us that they wouldn't ask online. And we're fortunate to have people like Pam Worth was involved in helping the ladies, get a leg up on fishing in the Tampa seminar. We're fortunate to have people that are out there all the time that share of their knowledge for these ladies to learn how to fish, because these people that, I don't teach it alone, and I have local instructors, and they're, it's really heartwarming to see that people are willing to share their expertise with people who are novices and wanting to get into the sport.
I think it's fun to show something that's new.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, and I'm glad a lot of the guides feel that way, because they could be out there making money taking charters, but they know that if the sport's going to grow, and if there's more people out there fishing, that in the end, if they do charters, they have a better chance of getting more charters, because that's a good way to learn too. Is once you've had the basics, you go on a charter boat, you see what the captain's doing, you're seeing it up front, and you can ask questions and try the skills that way too.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything like that, but the people that you choose or the captains that you bring into your classes are amazing. You choose very easygoing people that simply explain things, and like you said, no yelling, no making fun of anybody. It's a very giving and open conversation, which you're so unique in doing that. Thank you.
Well, I try to break the ice and make it like a warm, fuzzy atmosphere, because these ladies come in a little apprehensive. They're like, I don't know if I'm good enough for this. I see this on TV. Will I ever be able to do that? So what we do is not fishing, but it's confidence building. It's yes, you can, and here's how.
Something that we're kind of missing here. One of the points that we're missing is, when ladies step onto the plate, I guess is a way to put it, and you build confidence in fishing, that confidence carries over in other parts of your life. That confidence will spill over in different areas. You'll become more confident, generally speaking, overall, because you found yourself in an experience that was new to you or foreign, and now you've been able to overcome that. And that confidence that you have, knowing that you've been able to overcome that, will overflow in other parts of your life.
Well, and it's confidence also in themselves, because we tell them that, look, you're not going to learn this all in one weekend, but you're going to learn enough to feel capable, and you're going to learn how to keep on learning in a non-intimidating way. Now you're going to know what questions to ask and feel comfortable asking them. And
I know I'm going to get corrected here if I'm wrong, but I think Pam was one of the people who went out there and helped the ladies. Is that correct, Pam?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. She came when we had our event in Tampa, and I hope she comes again. And it's really hard for us to find females that will help the others. There aren't that many ladies in the industry that can do that. So a lot of our classes have very patient males, and I coach them. And it was just awesome in Tampa to have like almost all females, and then we had one lucky guy. And what's cool about, the reason why I talk to the guides before they get there, if I, usually, I give them a little coaching, but the guides know what it's like to take people that don't know anything about fishing, and they make them from zeros to heroes if they're lucky and the fish are biting, and they let them make mistakes, and they show them how to get out of a bird's nest and why that starts, and how to get your lure out of the mangroves, and why not to feel bad about it, because trust me, I fish a lot, and I still get my lure in the mangroves and in the trees sometimes.
Yep. I'm good at it. I always tease and say I can catch the biggest mangrove tree on the shoreline.
Right, and there's a great technique to get your lures back that doesn't always work, but there are ways that the experienced people know how to get that lure back, because those lures can add up. They can be expensive.
You aren't kidding.
Yep.
So I'm curious,
Yep.
the people that you have that work with you, are they volunteers or are they paid to do this?
Well, they're volunteers. If we had to pay, we'd have to raise the registration fees, and I try to keep them affordable. We are a nonprofit, and they give of their time. But one thing I try to do is promote them and get their name out there as a payback, and, we try to give them gifts and things like that to encourage them. It's just heartwarming that people will share of their knowledge and their time.
Amen.
Help others.
Let me put it to you this way. Give me a second, Pam, and I'll let you on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. We all have one thing in common, regardless of who we are, men, women, whatever. We all have one thing in common, that is time. How much of that time we have, we don't know. So when someone, in my life, in my experience, when someone takes time out of their life, they can never get that back. When someone takes time out of their life and volunteers that time and that knowledge to somebody else, that is one of the greatest gifts that one human being can give to another. Pam, thank you. I specifically asked that question because I knew you were a volunteer. Thank you, Pam. I appreciate it. And thank you, Betty, for what you do.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I have to thank Pam and all the other people that make this possible. This isn't really about Betty Bauman. This is about people in the industry, people who care and people who share.
What I found fascinating is when you started, and I sat in the back and I listened to some of the people on the tables around me, and they were very insecure, like, I don't know about this. And at the end, we take them out to the water and teach them how to cast. And the first couple casts go like maybe 2 feet in front of them because they're really not willing to give that rod a nice swing. They're afraid they're going to hit somebody or whatever. And by the end, after 15 or 20 minutes, these ladies are hitting targets across the channel. I mean, and you should see their face when they actually get that done. And then Betty does a wonderful thing at the end. She has kind of a little mixer or social, and you should see, did you see how far I threw that or tossed that lure or whatever, and the funny stories like, oh yeah, I threw one and it didn't go anywhere. Yeah, they just have such a great time at the end. You can just see the change from when they first got there until now at the social at the end. It's amazing. It's heartwarming, Betty. Thank you.
Well, and thank you. And you should see when we have, that was more of a limited time, but when we do the cast net, those ladies stand up there, and if they don't get it the first time, they'll try it again and again and again, because you see it on TV, but there is a skill and practice to it. So we try to build the confidence. And right now, I'm applying for funding and sponsorship and things like that, and it's kind of hard because these people are saying, well, how many people do you have in a class? Well, you saw in that room, we couldn't really take very many more. Well, we have like 20, 25. But I said, you have to remember this. Influencing one woman and making it possible for her to fish means that her kids that might not have been able to fish before now have a better chance to fish. The family has a better chance to fish because if Mama wants to do it, everybody's going to do it. And she's going to bring in her siblings, her friends. So, ladies don't like to do things alone, as evidenced about how many it takes to go to the bathroom. So she's going to bring in other people into the sport.
Oh my goodness, Betty, thank you. That was enlightening. Well, it is that time, and I'm going to have to take a break. Before we go, I want to give you an opportunity. If there's anyone out there that wants to get involved, whether you want to be a sponsor or whether maybe you want to make a donation, how do they do that?
Get on their website at ladiesletsgofishing.com, or I can give my phone number, 954-475-9068, or email at info@ladiesletsgofishing.com. We're working on next year's dates. I have some facilities dragging their feet, but we will have most of the dates up shortly, maybe, in a week or two, but before the end of the year.
Wow. Betty, thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful day. It always is a pleasure. We're looking forward to having you back on and sharing with us again. And that's Betty Bauman with Ladies Let's Go Fishing. You can find her online. We're up against a break. Please don't go away.
adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it.
Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift.
50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
The views and opinions expressed on the L&M Radio Network solely belong to those who make them and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the L&M Radio Network or our affiliates and advertisers.
Have you ever heard of Audible? Audible is a website with hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. They're all high quality, easy to listen to, and, best of all, if you take advantage of a special deal that we've worked out for you, you can get one for free. That's right, a free audiobook of your choice in any genre, simply by going to audibletrial.com/openeyes and signing up for the free trial. It's simple to do, and it would support the shows that we bring to you, and hey, you get a free book out of the whole thing. So why not take advantage of it today? Go to audibletrial.com/openeyes and sign up for the trial.
Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold and go out. When that happens, it won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe, and Lao Tzu, and Einstein, and Morobuto, and Buddy Holly, and Aristophanes. All of this was for nothing. Unless we go to the stars.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it. L&M Radio Network, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun. Oh, I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Shark, fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, we are back, and it has been a really busy morning this morning. And it's people like Betty that I enjoy because she reaches out to other people and works with other people and helps other people. And it's people like Pam who does the same thing. If I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Pam was kind enough to take a young person out and show them how to fish off of a kayak. Am I correct?
Yeah, the last IFA that I had here in Clearwater, I had a junior angler with me, and he ended up winning his division. It was really a lot of fun.
See, to me, one of the greatest things we can do, and not to be corny or anything, but really the whole reason I do this show is with the intention of trying to give families an option of something that they can do together. And typically, doesn't have to cost. I mean, if you want to be a professional and spend thousands of dollars, that's one thing. But you want to do it as a family, it's not a very expensive thing to do. You go out and you spend a couple of bucks to buy some bait. You spend a couple of bucks to buy some reels and rods. They don't have to be the best. The point being is that you can go out as a family and enjoy it all together, enjoy the same experience all together. And in the result of that is, in my experience at least, the result of that is relationships being built stronger, because we have such a war going on against the families today, just in general, with so many things happening to rip us apart. We need everything that we can get our hands on to help us hold our families together. We work hard to keep our, a roof over their heads, clothes on their back, food on the table, and during those times when we're not working, to make the best of it. The best of it for me is to have an experience that everybody enjoys, and in the result of that is hopefully we have stronger relationships. So Pam, I know you're one of them that goes out there and volunteers your time. Again, not to be redundant, but it's something that's it's a passion of mine. When people take the time out of their lives, we know that at any given time, we may not be here. So regardless of how much money we have, regardless of how much fame we have, regardless of how popular we are, we only have so much time based upon whatever God gives us. When we take that time and share it with somebody else, there's no refunds. You don't get a refund back. It is an investment, and that investment hopefully will help other people, and in helping other people, our society becomes better and better and better. We don't have, was it you that told me the tackle boxes instead of the X boxes? Was that you?
Yeah, no, not exactly. I can't remember who said that. I think Robert said that. Yeah,
somebody said tackle boxes instead of X boxes. I thought that was really good. Get them out there and teach them about fishing versus being on a piece of technology that they spend so much time on. I can't help but believe that some of these kids that I see, wherever they go, they've got one of these things in their hand. And my grandkids are guilty. I'll be the first one to tell you. They got one of these things in their hand, and it just kind of absorbs all of their attention. And they don't get to interact with anybody. They don't get to interact with their environment. They don't get to interact with their parents or their siblings. They're just absorbed with this piece of technology.
Well, plus, if you want to look at it in a selfish way, volunteering really is great. It makes you feel great when you're helping somebody out and they finally get it. And it doesn't matter what you're volunteering for, fishing or food kitchens, picking up trash, no matter what it is. If you can do it together as a family, it opens lines of communication. You set a good example. Your kids rarely are going to do something that you haven't done or haven't showed them. Show them the right path.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to mimic what they see coming from the parents, typically speaking. And if the example coming from the parents is something that is responsible and the ability to share that with them, that, again, it's a gift that you can't put a price on. It is something that helps build the relationships in the family. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. There's an attack on the family. Our country, they talk about making our country great again. In my personal opinion, you want to make the country great again, you're going to have to start at the families. The families is the people of the country is what make the country great. And we have been, to keep politics out of it, but we have been set against each other for so long that we need something that can be involved in our lives that can help us. And again, when people reach out like Pam and people reach out like Betty and volunteer their time, that is one of the most precious things that somebody can do. I think that is one of the greatest expressions of love. Again, not to be corny, but that one of the greatest expressions of love is when you take the time out of your life and you share it with somebody else along with knowledge. That's just phenomenal.
Well, I think I still remember as a little kid, and I'm from a big family. I have six brothers and sisters. So there were 7 of us in the family. And I still remember Mom and Dad taking us to a little tackle shop down in Fort Lauderdale as we were headed out toward the Everglades. And we were each getting to pick out our own cane pole. Now, if you fish with a cane pole on the bank, you don't need a fishing license. And as a kid, you don't either. but each one of us getting our own and being able to put our name on it and pick out our own bobber, and then going out to the canals off Alligator Alley and fishing off the little piers there and catching the little bait, and catching bass and crappie or whatever. We had a blast. We had so much fun. And it was an inexpensive day for my parents, and for us, it was as much fun as Disney World. It was great. We had a good time.
In some ways, I think it's actually better than something like a Disney World. And the reason I say that is it's a hands-on experience. And when you go to something like Disney World, you're going on rides and the atmosphere around you is creating your excitement. This, when you're going out and experiencing fishing, it's the hands-on experience that's creating the excitement. So in some ways, I think it's actually more beneficial to go out and do something like this. Along the other lines, the other face of the coin, if you will, how much money does it cost to go do something like Disney World? It's in hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you're in a family to go to Disney World for a day or two. You can do that, go fishing for a mere fraction of that. Again, in my experience, it would be every bit as good, if not more, than having to spend all that money and that time at Disney World. You do it with your family. And the result is a stronger relationship, a better relationship, a stronger family. And that's what we need today, really.
Yeah, building the bonds, building the memories, helping each other out. I had one sister that wouldn't touch a worm to save her life. And it was so much fun.
It is genuinely, again, it's an option for families, something that you can do. And maybe you don't have a boat. Maybe you don't want to go on a boat, but you can always do it from the shore. When I share with people that our family went fishing quite a bit, it was rarely that we go on a boat. The majority of the time was a fishing pier, a bridge, offshore, right there on the shore, fishing off the shore. It was rarely that we went out in a boat. And it was every bit as much fun for me as a kid doing it from the shore as it would be in a boat. The experience to me was phenomenal.
Oh, I agree. I think I told this story before, and my mom probably would get arrested for child neglect if it was in today's era. But she would give us 50 cents. We'd pedal our bikes, my sister and my brother, and we'd pedal our bikes up to, I still remember it, in Fort Lauderdale on Davie Boulevard, Carl's Bait and Tackle. And we would get one of those Chinese-type containers full of frozen shrimp, and then we'd pedal our bike all the way back to the Intercoastal, sit on the seawall, and sit there and, fish all day until it started to get dark. Then, and this is before cell phones, then get back on our bikes and pedal all the way back home. We lived in the Stranahan area of Fort Lauderdale. It's a lot of canals back there.
There were many days. Were they saltwater canals?
I beg your pardon? Yes.
Saltwater,
It was part, I think they called it the New River, part of the New River system.
I grew up in Coral Gables, and we had saltwater canals, and it was not uncommon to catch just about anything you catch in the bay, you could catch in the canals. Barracudas, just about anything. We even had sharks, small sharks that came into the canals. Grouper, snapper, shad, just about anything you found in the bay was in our canals. And it was quite common. One of the things we used to do is we get a tackle box and we get our fishing rod and we get a bucket. And that's all we would take. We wouldn't take any bait with us. We'd go down to the canals. We'd break open some of the oysters or mussels, whatever you want to call them, use a hair hook and catch some small fish, small shiners, and then use those for the bait. And it wasn't uncommon to come back home with a bucket full of fish.
Yep.
I miss those days. That was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's not.
It was.
It's not like that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a sense of accomplishment, too, that it sounds silly, but you actually came home, and then our parents taught us how to fillet the fish.
Yep.
And my mom taught us how to cook it, and it's like, oh, look, I did dinner. And when you're a little kid and you feel you're contributing to the family,
that's a lot.
That's a big deal.
That is a lot. It means a heck of a lot to the child. So while I'm thinking about it, I want to get this out because some people don't have access to data as easily as others. If you're in an area where you don't have access to data, but you've got unlimited calling, unlimited time, you can actually call in and listen. Now, you won't be speaking with Pam and I, but you'll be listening to the show as you would be listening online. And that number is 641. This is the new number that we've got, by the way, 641-793-2733. 3043. You can call that number and you can listen in. Again, you won't be on the air with us, but you will be able to listen in. For those people who may have a limited data plan, or they're in an area where the data is not very good, but they can get phone reception, you can dial 641-793-3043. That allows you to listen in on the show. And just as long as you've got unlimited calling, there won't be any charges incurred. So anyway, I wanted to pass that on when I was thinking about it. I wanted to do it earlier in the show, and I forgot. So while I had a minute and I was looking at it, kind of pass that on.
And also, if you have any questions or a guest that you'd like to see on the show, go to the website or Facebook page and just IM us and let us know.
Yeah, and if you have questions, maybe you have a question about something, how to fish for a particular fish, or somebody's opinion on what depth of water, whatever that might be, we're willing to do that as well. And this morning, if you want to call in, I'll open the lines. If you want to call in, you can call in this morning. That number is 561-440-5174, 561-440-5174. You're welcome to call in if you have a comment or question. We'll do that as well because we've got some time. I'm supposed to have Dennis on right now, Dennis Friel. He is an artist. He was a featured artist at the CCA convention down in the Keys. He must be having phone issues this morning because he's usually good about calling in. We tried to have him on last weekend, and we had all kinds of problems holding him on the line. I can't even get him to call in this morning. So
I'm going to kind of go backwards. What's the best way to get you on Facebook or your webpage?
The webpage is thefishfloridashow.com. On Facebook, it's The Fish Florida Show. If you want to email me, you can email me direct. It's me, the word M-E, at RiscalaStevens.com. It's RiscalaStevens.com. And if you have questions, comments, whatever you might want to pass on, you can do that way as well.
Excellent. We'll try to find, depending on what you're looking for, we'll try to find an expert out there and bring them on the show and ask them questions and get those answered for you.
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm working with somebody, a diver, like we have Robert on a regular basis. He would be like a semi-regular that would come on and kind of give us an idea of what they're seeing down there at the bottom, because the majority of us that I'm aware of anyway are on top of the water. And I'd be curious to see what's happening down below, down on the bottom. What are they actually seeing down there? Are we losing our reefs? Are we gaining our reefs? Is it staying the same? Are they seeing an increase in different species of fish? Whatever that might be. I thought that might be interesting. So working with this man named Peter, he goes down as a Santa. I'll have a couple of pictures up on the Facebook page as well. I don't know if I'll be able to get him on or not, but he goes down as a Santa and takes pictures with people scuba diving dressed in a Santa suit. Can you imagine that?
Now that's one way to spend your holiday.
He also he teaches people how to scuba dive. I think he's a instructor, I think is the right word for them. I think that's what they're called, instructors. So he has a business that teaches people how to scuba dive. And it's been years for me since I've scuba dived, but it was a very unique experience. You're in a completely different dimension, and everything is so completely different than being out of the water. When you're down in the water, you're buoyant. It's absolutely it's like you got earplugs in your ears. Yeah. And so you hear the bubbles from the tanks. That's about as loud as it gets.
And you've got all the shrimp down there. To me, every time I dove, I still remember all the shrimp making all that sound and all the crunchy noises. Yeah. We taught my one son wanted to learn how to scuba dive, so we got him lessons. And you have to do 2 dives before you're certified. Mm-hmm. One they did in a pool, the safe one, right. And then they took him out to one of the close reefs here in the Bay Area. And Danny went down and he was having a great time, and he ended up face to face with a Goliath grouper.
Oh my gosh.
He said, after all this time, he said, I'm not sure I want to do this again. He saw a Goliath grouper eat like another big fish, and he was like, oh my goodness. I think he was only 13 or 14 at the time. And it was like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do this. These fish are a lot bigger than I thought they'd be.
Wow. Oh, my. All right, well, we're going to, it's that time. We're going to take a break, and don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure being with you, and we're not done. We've got more to come, so we'll be right back.
Listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What's up, Ricky Dillon here at the largest social media gathering in the world. So the internet is an amazing place, but sometimes it can be a not so great place with online bullying and trolling and stuff. Have you ever seen online bullying before?
Unfortunately, it's kind of common. Online, people can hide behind the internet. Those comment sections can be a little
harsh.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
That's a good word for it.
I've been called many homophobic names.
I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated. It made me stop liking myself.
What if I told you there is something that you can use anytime that you see bullying online that calls attention to it in a nice way? Like, hey, that's not nice.
I wish that was the thing.
It's this! So anytime that you see any kind of hate online, go into your phone, go into the symbol section, post this I, and it says that that's bullying. That's not nice. So would you post this if you saw someone bullying someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a lot more mature way to handle the situation.
Find the emoji in your phone, send it to 5 of your friends, and let them know what it means to be a witness.
Go to eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more about the emoji.
The L&M Radio Network has a subscriber chat room for you, the listener. Come interact with your fellow listeners and like-minded people and talk about the shows in a safe environment, from the paranormal to conspiracies and anything else L&M related. All you have to do is go to the lnmradionetwork.com website and click the official chat page button at the top of the homepage. From there, you can sign up for the cost of a cup of coffee. If you're a late-nighter subscriber, the chat room is absolutely free with your subscription. Terms and conditions apply. Then click connect and you'll be able to log into the chat room. We're here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the chat room is both for Studio A and Studio B. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behaviour through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food. Cha-ching. And $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted. Which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behaviour. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration.
An innovator.
To be a teacher. Be my teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I'm waiting.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
L&M Radio Network, shining the light of truth 24 hours a day.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you if you're just joining, and if you're not, thank you for holding on and sticking with us and letting us share with you quite a bit of comedy that's going on this morning, a few laughs here and there. And we're missing Dennis Friel. I don't know what happened to Dennis. He was the featured artist at the CCA convention down in the Keys. He does some really, really cool stuff. I met Dennis, I think it was at the Ring for the Quest tournament, and he was the one painting the guitars there at the Hard Rock Cafe and doing a phenomenal job. Not only does he paint guitars, he paints boats and quite a few other things. And some of the paintings he's done on boats is pretty awesome. So hopefully we'll figure out what happened with Dennis, and maybe he'll call in later as we have a few minutes. In the meantime, I have Pam Worth. Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida, and it's always a pleasure to have her on because she is literally right there at the water's edge. So thank you, Pam. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you, Riscal. I appreciate the invitation.
It's always a unique experience with Pam because she is literally right there at the water's level, fishing for fish sometimes as big as her boat. I love that. I love that picture. I can't get that picture out of my mind. It's one of those things that they say, well, you can't unsee it. Well, I can't. I can't unsee it because it was so awesome to see her grabbing this monster and holding on to it. She got a big smile on her face, and I did it.
That was my first sailfish, and sometimes I can be a little gullible, and my kids know this, and they tease me. But anyhow, on a sailfish tournament, all you have to do is touch the leader, which can't be more than 15 feet. So you do a leader touch, and basically you've landed the fish. Well, the help boat finally finds me, in the sea of kayakers. And one guy, George, is yelling at me, grab its bill, grab its bill. We have to understand, I'm maybe 6 inches, 4.5 to 6 inches above the water level, and this bill is flying back and forth like a sword. I thought he was joking. I'm like, seriously?
Well, she did.
I wear gloves. It's one, to keep the sun off, and two, so it's a girl thing. I don't get calluses. But I am so glad I had those fish monkey gloves on, and I did. I just kind of reached over and grabbed its sword, and it's like the sailfish went, "Oh, thank you. I can rest now."
It's a unique picture, and it's up on the Fish Florida Show on Facebook if you want to see it. So while I have the opportunity, I want to bring Victoria Brinkley on. Victoria, if it hadn't been for Victoria, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. Victoria is the one who came up with the Fish Florida app, and that is a free app that you can find at any of the major stores, Fish Florida app, and you can also listen to the show on the Fish Florida app. That was all created by Victoria, and I want to thank her for doing that because without her, we wouldn't be here. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, guys.
How are we doing over there?
Great to have you on.
Oh, thank you. I just I get so tickled every week when I hear you guys on the show and all the amazing stories and guests that you have on, and Pam is it's incredible to hear the stories about how she does all this in a little kayak boat. Pretty compelling stuff.
Hey, if I can do it as a retired mortgage banker, if I can get out there and do it, anybody else can get out there and do it. That's my story. Go just do it.
Yeah. And I love hearing Betty Bauman too. I mean, Betty does some great things with teaching women how to fish. I get out there on the water. You can't hardly pull me back in. I just get really addicted.
Well, for me, it is an important aspect. The whole reason I do the show is really to help families have an option to do something together, not to sit around on a piece of technology and have your attention absorbed by something that you hold in your hand, rather have your attention absorbed by the experience that you're having together doing something. And that particular something, for me, is fishing. It's always been, in my life experience, a way to relax, a way to enjoy kind of get away from everything, so to speak, and enjoy the serenity. There is a degree of serenity, whether you believe it or not. There is a degree of serenity, because I know people get frustrated. Oh, doggone, I've caught. You know, when I go fishing, sometimes I am the biggest real estate broker in the world. I catch that bottom. I don't care what happens. I don't care how hard I try. And it is a little frustrating sometimes. But, you know, in the overall scheme of things, it is relaxing. It is something that you do, and you get a degree of satisfaction from. And if you do it as a family, for those of you who are not familiar, I used to be a foster. Now, I'm not going to pat myself on the back. This is just facts. Used to be a foster parent for the state of Florida. Kids are one of my greatest passions. When I was married, we fostered, I don't know, couple of dozen children. Through the process of that, we adopted 7. So when I tell you that kids are my passion, it's not just words coming out of my mouth. It's my life's experience. I have 7 adopted kids, and a lot of the things that we did experience together. One of them was fishing. One of the greatest experiences that I ever had. I took one of my sons fishing with 2 of them at this particular time on a lake. We were sitting in kind of a brackish water lake, and we were fishing with bobbers, worms and bobbers, and they were catching little, I don't know what you call them, crappie or whatever that is, brim, little guys, just a couple of inches long, having a blast. The rod that he was fishing with wasn't more than maybe 2 feet long, little Zebco rod, so they're fishing away, and I'm busy working, putting bait on, because no sooner I put the bait on, they're out there and they lose it again. And one of my sons starts jumping up and down, screaming and hollering. I thought he got hurt for a moment. I look over at him, and the rod is doubled over, and he's screaming at me, "Dad, come help me." We pull up this, probably 5 or 6 pound garfish. It had started out with him catching a little brim, and this garfish had seen the brim and nailed the brim, but he didn't get hooked. What happened was he wrapped himself around the line so much that when we pulled him up, the line was all wrapped around. Garfish have enormous teeth. They have this bill.
Looks like an alligator.
Yeah, they're called. Some of them are called alligator gar. And so this line.
They're no fun to catch.
No, the line had wrapped up around his beak. And it was one of the greatest experiences. And I asked him about it a couple of months ago. I said, "You remember that?" He goes, "Yeah, Dad, I remember that like it was yesterday." So this is what I'm talking about. These kind of experiences as a family. Now, he's 30-some-odd years old. He was probably 7 or 8 when that happened. He says, "Yeah, Dad, I still remember that very well."
Wow, that's great. A hint, though, if you're taking your kids fishing for the first time, bring a lot of snack food, a lot of drinks, and limit your time. Don't make it a whole day. If you think that they can last for 4 hours, get off the water in 3 hours. Make it so they want to go back and do it again. Don't make it until they're all starting to get tired and whiny.
Are we there yet?
But, over by the spillway where we live, they've done a lot of TV shows and stuff. Captain Rick Murphy, I've seen shows where he fished over there by the spillway. And they've got a lot of Chinook over there. But, they have these little garfish swimming everywhere. And they always get on your line. And, you just might as well just cut the line because it's hard to get that hook out of them. You know what I mean, Pam?
They have an enormous amount of teeth. It is amazing how some of these fish have evolved. The garfish, to me, is like the freshwater, if you will, brackish water. It's like the barracuda of that water. This thing is just nasty looking.
Yeah. And it's an ancient fish.
Yeah, from what I understand, they get pretty big too, right?
And they can in different regions. I know in Texas they have some giant gar out there.
I've seen pictures that are scary.
People eat them.
Oh, really? People eat them?
Yeah, they do. They do. I've heard stories.
I've always heard that they're not good to eat. They're too bony, is what I hear. Now, I've never experienced it, so I don't. Pam, you know anything about that?
I don't know anybody about eating them, but I catch ladyfish every now and then, and I've heard people who make fish like pancakes out of ladyfish or fish patties.
But they're so thin, and those ladyfish are really, really thin. I don't know how they do that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they boil them down, pull the bones out, and then add flour and make like a patty.
Wow.
That's too much work. I want a nice fillet, or redfish. I like redfish on the half shell. Or all you have to do is fillet it off the fish. You don't have to scale it. You don't have to fillet it off the scale side. Get that grill going nice and hot. just put a little olive oil on it, put the meat side down for a couple minutes and flip it around, add garlic butter, maybe a little bit of parsley and a little bit of lemon, and close the cover of the grill. You only need to cook it for about 15 or 20 minutes. Put the cover up, and that filet comes right off the scales, and you have no grill to clean. Nothing sticks to the grill, and you have nothing in the house to clean, no fish smell in the house. So that totally is my favorite way to eat redfish.
My mouth is watering over here. So
she's making me hungry.
So I want to go back a second. Go ahead. Go ahead, Victoria.
No, I just want to just change gears for a second. I would like to let everybody know if they're interested in sponsoring the Fish Florida, radio show with Riscala, that they should give us a call. We're starting to, put out those offerings. We are working on the network. We're going to probably do a hard launch in January or February. We're getting all the TV shows ready for that. We've aligned ourselves with an advertising agency and marketing firms to put advertising around those TV shows. And we're hardwired with over 300 networks. Wow. So that means we have all that distribution, not to mention that we integrate with social media. So, we'll make sure that anybody that wants to sponsor the radio show that you have with Scala, have them give us a call so we can get them started and figure out which slots, are going to work the best for everybody.
How do they reach you, Victoria?
They can reach me. I'm all over the place. There are several pages on Facebook, Fish Florida Group, Brinkley Broadcast Group. I started the broadcast group because I wanted it to be separate from the network. We have all of those TV shows and all that content within the Brinkley Broadcast Group, so I wanted to make sure I kept that separate from everything. But they can reach me. If they want to give me a call, too, they can just call me at 561-900-4283. And I would suggest that they get started right away so we can plan out their marketing plan for the next year. So we have, all of their marketing budget and dollars so we can include, those spots.
Great. Well, we can.
Yeah.
We're always welcoming people who have an interest in sponsoring the show. So if you have that, Victoria is the lady to get a hold of. She'll give you all the specifics, all the breakdowns, and all that. You can find her online, Victoria Brinkley.
Lots of places.
I'm sorry, what?
You can find me lots of places.
Lots of places.
The other thing I want to mention, Riscala, real quick, is that the Fish Florida app is a free download, and we are going to be doing a hard launch on that in the first quarter of next year. We did a soft rollout, to prove proof of concept, and now we're going to do a hard launch. So the Fish Florida app is great for people that are coming to Florida that want to find great resources, ways to plan your boating and fishing and hunting trip. You can find great products and services on there. You can find out, the tide report, the weather. There's a lot of planning that's involved in when Pam takes her kayak out fishing. I mean, Pam, you can attest to that, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking at weather, which way the wind's blowing, where the tides are. Oh, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking for that. So the advertising is really important to keep the show running. That helps pay for the hard cost, and it really gets your message out and get to brand your company with such a nice brand like Fish Florida, which encompasses not just Florida, but everybody. Although I see people downloading the app from all over the world.
Wow.
So people just, when they think fishing or boating or something like that, they think Florida,
Mm-hmm. If they download the app in, I don't know, New York, does it give them the weather and the whatever up in New York as well?
They can plug in their information, their zip code in any of those tabs. Under the first 2 or 3 tabs, you can basically put in wherever you're at and play. I know people that were in Costa Rica that my attorney called me and said, my friends are in Costa Rica fishing, and they were able to use the Fish Florida app to plan their trip in Costa Rica.
Wow. So
that's amazing.
So the reason why I asked that is so to be clear, it's the Fish Florida app, but just because it's the Fish Florida app, it will work in other places. It's just called the Fish Florida app.
But it really belongs. This app really belongs to Florida, and we're all here. It's really a big tourism area. The fishing and the boating and all of that. I mean, I'll tell you, families and just anybody, you plan your weekend. You want to be outside. You want to be out in the water. You want to be out doing something because it's so beautiful here in Florida.
It is. This is one of those weekends
most of the time,
just like that. Well, Victoria, thank you so much. A great deal of appreciation for you and what you've done and the app that you've come out with. It's Victoria Brinkley with the Brinkley Broadcasting Group, along with the Fish Florida app. You can find it online, any of the major stores. It is. It's that time of the morning where we've got to help our vendors that help us. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Thank you for sticking with us. Don't go away. It's the Fish Florida Show.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
From the author of Silent Steps and Haunted, Finding an Explanation for the Unknown, comes a story so chilling it will haunt you for years to come. Krista is a young woman escaping her past, running away from her family, her traumas, and her God, hoping to find a new life in a different town. But when she is forced to make a horrible choice, she comes to realize malevolent entities have controlled the true darkness she has been a part of. That is when her real terror begins. Penitence is disturbing and evocative. It will tear down the walls between what is real and what is nightmare. Penitence is the new novel by the man called the new master of speculative fiction, Ira Robinson. Find it and all of his books at his website, originalworlds.com.
So how was work?
It was 1,300 hours. My math class from 302 was in the trenches. Davy Roth had it the worst. Fractions were coming at him left and right. He just didn't get the damn things.
2 days ago, I tried to teach him what 1/4 of 1/2 was using different sizes of blocks.
Yesterday, I tried again by dividing a pizza. Both missions failed.
Oh no.
But today, I was ready. I created a combat math game where the only way to beat the enemy is to out-fraction them. Davy conquered every last denominator. My game was so successful, the principal is deploying it to math squadrons all over the school.
Anywho, how was your day?
Today my boss treated the office to salad wraps.
Salad wraps.
I know.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're in it.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Can I tell you another one? So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. What is a boxer's favorite drink? Fruit punch.
Dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
L&M Radio Network, shining the light of truth 24 hours a day.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Okay, we are back. It is the last segment of the show. Again, my great appreciation to all of you who tune in and allow us to share some of the fun with you here on Sunday mornings from 8 to 10 a.m. I try to have people on that are interesting. We try to have subjects that are of interest, and hopefully we're doing that for all of you out there who take the time and allow us to share with you. So I'm ever so grateful for each one of you who do that. And I'm ever so grateful for Pam Worth. Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. I know I say that a lot, but it's important because not anybody can just go out in one of these little things and fish. Not only that, but go out in one of these little things, fish, and then end up being one of the top kayak anglers around Florida. So Pam, thank you. You always bring a unique perspective to the table. I greatly appreciate you sharing the time and the knowledge with everyone else.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for your continuing invitations to come on the show. I really enjoy it.
All right, I love having you on. I really do. And while we're speaking about kayaks, I have the next guest that's coming up is Cody Milton. Now, Cody is a kayak fisher, if that's a correct term.
Angler.
Angler, okay. He's an angler because we don't want to put sex in there, right? I've got to remember that. So anyway, he won. He's going to correct me if I'm mistaken, but he won Kayak Angler of the Year, and I think it's for all of the states, but I'm not sure. Cody, good morning.
Well, it's a kayak bass fishing Angler of the Year.
Good morning, Cody.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Great.
Pam,
good.
Go ahead.
We're finally out of the rain this morning. I think for the first time all week.
Are you out on the water?
No, sir. I'm at home right now.
Oh, okay. Pam was straightening me out about the title. You are the top.
Oh yes, sir.
You're the top kayak angler. What?
I guess the title would be the kayak bass fishing angler of the year, and that company. I guess they're out of Hendersonville. They're actually, the company is called Kayak Bass Fishing. So kind of covers it all, I guess. But yeah, the tournaments span. They span from California to New York, all over. They definitely have more of an emphasis around the kind of southeast area. But it was a long year. I think I fished 10 KBF events. I guess
wow.
That's how many tournaments I fished. So it was a lot of. I think I did 42,000 miles on the Super.
Oh my goodness!
But, yeah, it's for sale now too. So it made it back and it's for sale.
Wow, I had no idea that would be that kind of 42,000 miles.
Yes, sir. Yep. I've had a car that I got, I guess, 2 years and 2 months ago, and it's got 161,000 miles on it.
Lord have mercy. Wow.
Sounds like my Kia.
A lot of those trips are headed down to Florida too, because I think that trip that one ends up being a pretty good little ways for me. It's something like 900 or something, 1,100. Yeah, it's quite a bit.
My goodness, Pam, how many miles you got, Pam?
Where do you live, Cody?
I'm around Little Rock in Searcy, Arkansas.
Okay.
Central Arkansas. Yes, ma'am.
So you've come into Florida to fish, is that right?
I actually did. If you include at the start of the year at the Sailfish Smackdown last year, I made, I guess I made actually 4 trips down there because I made a trip down there when it got canceled and ended up just staying with Jason Broach for like 5 days, and we just hammered some on the Stick Marsh, hammered some bass. And I went back down and made the other one, and there was also 2 kayak bass fishing events on the Stick Marsh this year. I actually finished 4th in both of them this year.
Excellent.
So yeah, I definitely squeezed in as many of those as I can.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the tackle that you use when you're fishing, because I was quite surprised. I spoke to a couple of professionals, I guess we could call them that fish the freshwater, the brackish water here in Florida. And I was quite surprised at the line that they were using. Some of them were telling me it was like 50-pound test line. So tell me a little bit about the hardware that you use.
It kind of goes back and forth. I fished events this year that I had a ton of success in, where I was using 4-pound line in 60 to 62 foot of water, and I like down in Florida, I had a great tournament with 65-pound braid and some super thick stuff. So it's very diverse. I mean, I'm probably the only person I know that does it, but I carry 2, 3, 4, and 5-pound line. And then I'll carry 7 and 10. But growing up in the Ozarks, we're really used to 20-foot clarity water, so the line visibility is really key sometimes. But now for me, most of the time, I would say 14 to 16-pound FC Sunline Sniper is the main line I use.
Wow. I was, in my ignorance, I thought that you're going to go freshwater fishing, you're going to use really, really light line. And they straightened me out about that real quick. Not necessarily, it just depends on where you are.
Absolutely. It depends what you're doing, what kind of structure's around. But yeah, I like doing it both ways. It's kind of fun forcing them out of there, but it's a lot of fun, having to finesse them out of that deeper water as well.
So what's going on up there with regard to any tournaments? Anything happening?
I think we've got a tournament in around Arkansas. I think March is our first tournament, but my next tournament, I'll actually be headed to Pompano here in 3 weeks, I believe.
Oh my! Is that the one you're going to, Pam?
Yep, that's the Sailfish tournament. We figured that maybe we'll just fish it together.
Hot dog!
Yes, ma'am.
Great. A tow line between the two of you, just in case one of you catches a monster. He's got to pull both of you around.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'll DQ both of us.
In the kayak bass fishing, they call it the 10 and the 10 Invitational. That's actually going to be in North Florida in January. It's 2 weekends after the Sailfish Smackdown. That's where the kayak bass fishing organization, they invite their top 10 anglers to fish for $10,000 on Bienville's private body of water right there. This will be my second year, and I think I finished like 8th last year, so I can't go down much. So I'm looking forward to getting up there and doing a little 2-week Florida stint.
So you're coming down in a couple of weeks. Then you're going back, and you're going to come back again for this other one.
I will, yes, sir. But White Springs to Pompano is about 8-hour difference for me, or 7 hours difference. So they're 2 pretty different trips.
Now I understand how we got 42,000 miles.
Yep, it adds up quick when you're doing that.
Wow.
What kayak do you fish out of, Cody?
So I use, I have a Pro Angler a Pro Angler 12 in an Outback. I almost strictly bass fish out of the Pro Angler 12, but there was some times where I was vertically dropping on fish that I actually used the Outback. It was Table Rock was one in particular. It's just I have better transducer mount setups for my Outback than I do for my PA right now. So I kind of use both of them. And like offshore, I just use the Outback. Especially if it's more than like 3-footers.
Okay, those are both made by whom?
They're both made by Hobie.
Oh, okay. Just we have a lot of boaters, so.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Hobie,
no,
the Hobie
okay.
Pro Angler and the Hobie Outback.
Now, do you trailer
the new
your
Hobie
boat?
Outback is great. I do trailer them. Sometimes I will put an Outback on top and a Pro Angler on the back, just to kind of like even out the space and stuff. But now, usually I'm just taking the PA-12. I actually might just take the Outback down to the Sailfish Smackdown this year, though.
How big are these things?
My Outback is, I think it's 13 foot, but the Pro Angler's 12.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pam is 13.
Yeah, my native's 13.5.
Yeah.
13.5. Yeah, that's a good manageable size for sure.
Well,
I like it. Very stable, just like yours. Very stable.
Absolutely. And you have the FX, is that right?
I have both. I have the 15 FX that I use more and more now on the flats to get up in the bayous because it runs on like 2 inches of water, and it's super, super fast. Super fast. And then I have the Propel 13 that I use for pedals when I do ocean or a lot of other tournaments, so I'm hands-free.
Yep, I've heard a lot of good things about that one.
Yeah, the Slayer's awesome.
I think it's kind of neat because you're not relying on a gasoline engine. You're relying on yourself. That takes me back to the days when I was a kid. We didn't take bait with us. We just took the tackle and the bucket and the fishing rod and went out and caught.
Absolutely.
So you're not relying on a motor, or you're not relying on an electric motor or gasoline motor. You're relying on yourself. It's your self-powered vehicle that takes you out to where you want to go. I think that's cool. I don't know why. Maybe that's corny of me, but I think that's pretty cool.
That's a lot of fun. That's one of the reasons I enjoy it.
And the sailfish tournament's probably one of the few tournaments that I even use bait with.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Cody, you're coming down in a couple of weeks down to Pompano. Are you going to is it called pre-fishing?
Yes,
Are you going to go out there and do that?
I think we're gonna. It looks like I'm gonna make it down with a couple other kayak bass fishing guys, and I think we're gonna get to leave around kind of the Tennessee area on Wednesday. So we're talking about fishing Thursday. Like I don't know. We don't have bait, reserved for practice or anything yet. But I think we're gonna get a full day of practice. That's the word I'm getting right now.
Pam, how many do you think is going to be involved in this?
It varies. It varies. I'll be honest, depending on weather. And the first tournament they had, just to let you know, I think it was a guy from Arkansas that won it and beat all the local native anglers down there. So ocean fishing is a little bit of luck too. That's a freaking big ocean out there.
Did he not move down there? The guy that won that tournament, I think he's South Florida and runs the Outfitters now. Yeah. I was reading some article about that.
Yeah, it could be, but it's gotten more and more competitive. It's a highly competitive, but a lot of fun.
Do you have any idea how many you think are going to be involved?
Last year, there was 60.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, ma'am. High 60s. But the year before, it was closer to 100. So
wow!
You never really know.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's all kayaks, right? It's just a kayak thing.
Yeah, we'll get Joe Hector on and have him talk about it next week or the week after.
Yeah, because I'd like to get a little more information. So there could be anywhere from 60 to 100 of you out there in kayaks. Now you're talking about what did you call it? A Tupperware what?
A Tupperware flotation. Flotilla. Tupperware flotilla.
There we go.
Yeah, in the summer slams, we get up to 200 anglers during the summer.
And you're not banging into each other, not to be funny or facetious, but you're not butting up against each other with all the kayaks out there?
Maybe at the launch, but it's a big ocean out there.
Well, I used to think the same thing until I went shrimping down in Miami in the bay, and it was like a parking lot.
Yeah, no. This is the ocean. There's a lot of space out there.
Wow.
I would say I trip up more with the other boats that are out there also trolling for sails and wahoo and kings that are looking at their lines and not looking where they're going.
Oh, I know. It happens every year.
Wow. All right. Well, as always, we're having a great time. And, of course, when you're having a great time, the time goes by very quickly. So it's that time that we have to say goodbye to everybody. But before we go, I want to give Cody an opportunity. Anything you want to say before we go there, Cody?
No, sir. Nothing in particular. I appreciate y'all having me on, and I've enjoyed talking with y'all and look forward to meeting Pam soon.
Hot dog. Well, Cody, be safe. Safe travels for you when you come down to Florida, and we'll be looking forward to having you back on. Pam, thank you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Pam, any parting words?
get out there and fish, guys. Have a good time.
For sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to tune in and allowing us to share with you. What a blast it was this morning. Looking forward to doing it again next Sunday, 8 to 10 a.m. on the LNN Network. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.